let's talk about the Boston Celtics. Because man, if you want to talk about a team that's been, you know, they have all the talent in the world, but it's just so much of this series hasn't gone their way. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that, you know, Joe Mazzulla, as cool of a coach as he's been, has been, he's made some shocky decisions here and there. Not only that, everybody likes to mention, there's no Ime Udoka now, but also there's no Will Hardy. So you're losing a lot of that coaching depth, a lot of that wisdom on that bench. And, Mazzulla's like, he's like the kid who just got his end in his riding around in the Lambo. You know, looks cool.
Good.
He
Actually
goes
good.
super fast, has all the looks, all the bells and whistles. But when it comes to, mastering that beast, being able to, make the smart decisions like calling a timeout in the last possession, it just doesn't work. And not to say that Missoula can't turn it around, because I think if there's anything he's shown this year is that he has the ability to grow. But I just think this year is going to be it's going to be tough for them to come back. First of all, having to go back to Philly for this next game,
Yep.
and I just think he's been great, but he's also left so much to be desired, and I think his slow start was a big contributing factor to how Philly was really able to get the jump on them from the get go in this recent game today.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Missoula comment. I mean, I think you hit it right, like right on the top. Like, um, he's a really good coach. I think his foundations are good. I think there's a character trait there that's missing, and there's a lot of toughness that's missing. Um, Within that locker room, I think right now. And do you think that with the personalities that you have with guys like Marcus Smart, um, and then, you know, I think you have the leadership qualities. It just feels like at the head honcho at the top of your bench, it just doesn't feel like there's that grasp. Um, it's really hard to put a finger on why Boston hasn't found success or why they haven't felt like the giant killers that we thought they were at the very beginning of the year. Because we all came into the season saying, "Oh, Boston and Milwaukee are gonna sweep through their
Yeah,
thing."
or that's the
They
NBA
found a
Finals.
exactly. Boston found a lot of trouble with Atlanta in the first series. Like there was a lot of trouble there. And then they play a team now like Philadelphia. They haven't been able to find themselves a rhythm. I think their style of play is um, very double O centric. I don't know if that's the right word to say heliocentric for two guys. But
I was
yeah,
thinking like, what's the word for? It's not helio, but I was thinking
it's you know
duocentric. But double O
duocentric.
sounds cool. I like that.
And the worst part about it is it is dual-centric, but Jalen Brown doesn't get enough opportunity still as a scorer.
Man, that's been the whole narrative for the second half. The fact
Yeah,
that he's not getting a lot of shots, whether it's like a lack of wine to shooter, whatever it may be. Granted, I think a guy that's been a big, big, big bright spot, I think Marcus Smart. As great as
yeah,
he's providing for the defensive end, you look at today's game, he opened up today with back to back threes. So he's definitely doing his job for sure.
yeah. The
But
thing
yeah,
is, it's like
there's a
it's
big duo thing going on there.
Marcus Smart. That is supposed to be a oh, we got some offense from him. That's great. That's the cherry on top. You can't rely on him to be the guy. That
Mhm.
is supposed to be Jalen, Jason Tatum, Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, those guys, and so to speak. I think their big man rotation has not been great. Horford and Robert Williams, and granted, I think Robert Williams is struggling a little bit with health. Um, I think if we look back on the season, this is a team that would have absolutely loved an acquisition like Jakob Pertl.
Oh man, I remember seeing those rumors. That would have been perfect. Cause yeah, I agree. It's like the same thing with the Raptors, to where you know, as great as it is to be able to switch everything, you don't have like a true, true, true big man and an anchor to your defense. Can only really get you so far.
Yeah, and Horford is obviously older. He's aging. He's not performing at the same level as he used to, and that's natural. So none of that's on him. I think their style of play has really limited their ability to be better than they are. Right. I think a lot of the first half of the season, we were seeing this team share the ball, right? There was a lot of team play involved, a lot of guys in rhythm. I think they played a faster pace. Right now, it looks very much like let's find Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, and let's see if we can get something going through these guys, and not the other way around, playing within rhythm, because there are a lot of weapons on the Celtics team, and I just don't think, again, to the point I made about the Warriors, I think it's just a little bit of poor asset management, right? I think
100%.
putting guys in successful positions. I think Jason Tatum would do a lot better on off-ball situations or as a lead initiator into secondary actions with Jalen Brown, maybe screening for each other, maybe dribble handoffs in the high post between each other, and letting guys play spread. Um, so I think those are those kind of things that little wrinkles in the offense that I think would bring some more dynamics to what they're doing, because they're clearly struggling to find some rhythm offensively. And but with that being said, like there's a reason why they're not winning this series right now, because Joel Embiid's a monster.
Oh my
Like he's the
goodness.
MVP, man. Like he's the MVP. He's been awesome this year in the postseason. And James Harden, he's quietly like shutting down like those talks about him. Not being Houston James Harden, not being aggressive, him being washed. Like every time
He's
those
he's
conversations
looking
have
he's
come up,
looking like the guy who like a lot of people like usurped him over D Wade, that he was the
yeah,
third greatest shooting guard to ever touch the court.
yeah, and he's looking awesome, right? He's playing great as a second fiddle, but I think the way I would describe what James Harden needs to be is a second fiddle that looks to be the number one guy, right? Because he
Yeah,
needs
I
to be
like that.
aggressive. He needs to open the floor for a guy like Joel. There needs to be two guys, and I think what makes them so successful as a duo-centric offense is because they play in different positions, they play in different spots of the floor, and so there's not a whole lot of redundancy about what they do. Versus Jalen and Jason Tatum, two wing players, and it's great that you have two guys who can create shots from three levels all across the floor. Problem is, there's not a whole lot of dynamics to your offense, and so you're finding yourself trying to score the exact same way. And you just gotta hope that one of the two guys are hot or both of them are hot. And we're seeing the same thing with a team like Phoenix with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, right? So they're so reliant on this same style of play to get you your offense, but again, that's an easy thing to defend, whether one guy has it or not. So, um, Philly, man, I've been quietly cheering for them just because, even though as a Raptor fan, I really like Joel Embiid.
I want to see him
Even though I hate
complete the
his floppy stuff, but
process. I
yeah,
want
I
to
want
see
to
him
see him
complete
complete
the
the process too.
process. Yeah.
Yeah. I would also love to see James Harden get a title. Truthfully,
Yeah. That and I
that's what I
wanted
want to
to beat Christian's team. Fuck the Celtics, man.
see. So all three of us have no teams in the playoffs.
100%. But man, yeah, I mean, first of all, I think the big thing with Boston, last point I'll make at least, they really play to their competition. I saw a tweet that said, "This is why you try in game ones." And I think it's a lot with how a lot of things that Giannis said in his thing, where the Heat, or in this case, the Sixers, were playing to win the game slash series. But the Bucks, and it looks a lot like this, I think, for the Celtics, is that they're playing for a championship.
Yeah.
I think when you look at the Celtics, there's a lot of like passivity in the sense that there's really not a lot of sense of urgency, I think. And you saw that
Guys
with
look like
this
they're
game
afraid to make
today.
the guys look like they're afraid to make mistakes.
Yes, I think that's the way I'd put it too. And I mean, you saw with the last bit today where game was out of hand. Joe Mazzulla put in his reserve guys, and they made it, you know, nothing like scary, but they made it a game in that last little bit. And I think
Yeah.
that was really the first bit of that game there where there was some kind of bite. There was, again, a little bit of spunk to the Celtics. And I think when you look at how they've been playing this whole series, it's been a lot of like, yeah, Joel's hurt. I'm Jason Tatum. Boom, dink. I'm Jalen Brown. Gonna get a nice few shots in the first half, and so and so and so, and then dink a lot in the whole. It's just there's no in the moment like dog mentality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no like again no urgency.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree. I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough. Just their style of play is really hard, man. I know. I'm gonna break it down like this. Like I think in the playoffs, we're so used to it getting slower that teams just sort of say, "All right, the game's gonna slow down." But the game doesn't have to be slow. The game doesn't have to be a game of
Oh yeah.
matchups. I know that it naturally is. You always look for the best defensive matchup. You try to get the switch on Anthony Davis on Steph Curry. You try to get the switch on, Jason Tatum getting guarded by DeAnthony Melton. Like we want the barbecue chicken moments, like Shaq says. Like we want that. The problem is like when you can't seek out those options, like that slows the game down. Get out of rhythm, and like their style of play is so duo centric that you're so often looking for that guys just naturally go, all right, where's Tatum? All right, where's Jalen Brown? Passivity, like you said, there's no urgency because really like there's no involvement as a team offensively within their system, so guys just often defer. And so, I mean, they have all the tools in the team to be much better than they are, the way they've played so far. So, anyways, like I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with that. Like this is a team that just doesn't look like they're all there.
Mm. And then the last thing I'll say about the Sixers, fuck man, I miss PJ Tucker. I miss
That guy's
PJ
real,
Tucker,
man.
man. PJ Tucker is such a floor raiser. And I mean, you saw in I think it was the game before this, got in Joel's face, told him, buck the fuck up, man, you're MVP. And I
Yeah,
think having a guy like that who isn't the guy but is able to talk like that, that's a big thing to have on your teams. But I think it's clearly here, you and me, closet Sixers fans right now. I mean, I got
yeah, we
got
are.
the Iverson jersey in the back here.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Iverson's my favorite player of all time.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, like I mean,
I need
closet Sixers.
I can't I'm gonna be working, but there's gonna be a shot. Iverson has to be sitting courtside, and that's gonna,
Yeah,
that's gonna be a lot of momentum. Did you see the shot on the broadcast where they had it was, the Sixers had Doc believing in God again?
that
But,
was good, man.
yeah. Oh man, I think it's like I forgot how many. I think it's like the 30-year anniversary or something like that of like the last Sixers championship. So
Yeah,
if there's any kind of storyline, any correlation, Milwaukee was their last one in 50. You know, go Sixers.
yeah.